Ah, this next dish, it's a turkey pot pie with a sage and biscuit topping. If you want to substitute chicken instead of turkey, just go for the white lean meat. We're going to cut it in strips, season it with salt and pepper and a little bit of essence. You know, in the South, people use cast iron all the time for gumbos, for stews, for smothering dishes. I actually have a cast iron pan still in my house from my wife's grandmother, passed on generation to generation. You take good care of them, and they'll last forever. And they get better as they get seasoned. We're just kind of getting a little sear on this. I remember growing up, and pot pies were always a part of our repertoire for meals, and certainly is a big favorite now in my house. So the chicken or turkey gets seared. See how that's just sort of seasoned on the bottom like that? I call that the yum-yums. And now what we'll do, we'll go in with mushrooms. This is a cremini mushroom. You certainly could use button mushrooms, but whatever mushroom you use, remember, they're going to absorb whatever oil or fat that you have in there, whether it's butter or olive oil. I'm going to just season these real nice for a couple of minutes. I'm going to season them with a little bit of pepper, salt, and I'm going to add about 3 tablespoons of butter as well. Now, what I want to do to increase the smoking point so that the butter doesn't burn is make sure I add a good amount of oil, too, to the pan. Oh, yeah. So after 4 or 5 minutes and I'm beginning to start cooking down the mushrooms, the next thing, we're going to add about 1½ cups of red onion. You know, a lot of people don't think about using red onion to cook with, and it really has great flavor. 1 parsnip, kind of like the albino carrot, if you will. Some celery. And then we'll add a couple of tablespoons of garlic to that. And really want to get this good and caramelized, working the bottom of the cast iron skillet. So as you can see, after about 8 to 10 minutes, the vegetables have gotten nice and caramelly. We're now going to add about 4 tablespoons of flour, which is really going to be the thickening agent for our pot pie. You want to really incorporate it. And as you can see, if you begin to not have enough oil or fat, we can always add a tiny bit to incorporate flour. Oh yeah, that's perfect. See how we're just scraping that down and incorporating the flour, which is going to make our roux. It'll never be at its full thickening power until it comes to a boil. So I'm using chicken broth. And now what we're going to do is just sort of incorporate that liquid into our roux and let it come to a boil. Now is an excellent time to add our potatoes, which are just sort of in chunk pieces. And we're going to get a bit of starch out of the potatoes too, which is also going to be a little bit of a thickener. And I'm going to add a little bit of fresh thyme now for a little aromatic. And then we'll let this simmer until the potatoes are fork tender. So the potatoes, and when they get very close to being fork tender, we'll add our chicken or turkey pieces back into our pot pie. Yum. We'll just get that all beautiful and we'll let that simmer. So as you can see now with this Southern classic here, the chicken or the turkey meat is getting super tender. Our potatoes are perfectly fork tender, and now we're ready to finish it up. I have the oven on about 475 degrees. We're going to add green peas and then some wonderful Southern biscuits that we have flavored with sage. And we're just going to layer them on top. The less you handle them, the better. We'll sneak another in here. Perfect. So what I like to do is just to take a little bit of melted butter, 475 degrees, and this is going to take about 14 or so minutes. They'll get nice and golden brown. Look at that. Bubbling away and finishing it one last time with just a little bit of a brush of melted butter. And this family classic is getting ready to get devoured. There you have it. Pot pie. That's comfort food, folks.